then after that, it's like, you just go home.
I know.
Like I went from thinking I was going to live here for 12 weeks to, okay, your husband died. Now you just go home. So we had to go back up to our room and like, I see his phone like any normal person would. Like he was just living. Like there's evidence on his phone that he was like just here and his clothes. And we just like take it home. And I'm like, I guess I'm going to go to my parents' house. Like, I don't know, just no one can prepare you for that. And I will always remember walking out of the hospital and it was late May and it was the most beautiful, clear blue skies, sun was shining day. And like I saw people biking by and in their cars and walking by. And I just remember thinking like, what? Like my life was just completely changed. That just happened. Zach just died and there's people like going to lunch or like on their bike ride. And I couldn't fathom that the whole world didn't stop for everyone when my world did. And that's a feeling I've felt a lot like since. Just, it's weird that we don't all, not that I would wish this on anyone, but I almost wanted the world to stop with mine.
Totally get it.
And yeah, that didn't happen.
Hey everybody, it's me, Shay. Welcome back to Grief Witnessed, where we remember, where we tell the stories, and where grief is allowed to exist without fixing it. All right, everybody, welcome. I'm here with my friend Annie. Hi, Annie.
Hi.
Annie is also a widowed content creator like myself.
Yes.
And she's in Utah, where I am. So she's also in the Young Hot Widows of Utah group.
Yes.
When was the first time we met? Was it the Halloween thing?
It was Halloween. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think you reached out to me first, which.
Yes.
Yeah.
We went to like a Halloween thing, and tell everybody what you dressed up as.
I dressed up as a widow, like a Victorian widow with a black veil over my head. And yeah, that's how I felt.
Amazing.
So yeah.
It was amazing. And we ended up filming a reel, I think, that night as well. What was the reel again?
It was, we're widows, of course we.
Oh, yes, we're widows. Of course we, whatever.
Blah, blah, blah.
Yeah. So I love Annie, and I'm excited. And I don't know if excited is the right word, but I look forward to hearing more of your story and letting everyone here witness your story with me.
Thank you. Thanks for having me here.
Yeah. Tell us about Zach. Tell me about your love story with Zach.
So Zach and I, let's see, to set the scene, this was the summer before my last semester of college. And I had always gone home. I went to Utah State, but my parents lived like an hour away from Utah State. Mm-hmm. So I would go home and live with them during the summers. And this summer, me and a friend were like, we don't want to just work an odd job this summer. Like, let's go do something more fun, what we thought would be fun. So we had the grand idea to go do summer sales, which is very Utah.
Yes.
So we went out to California and we didn't know. My friend Lily knew like one of the girls there, but we didn't know anyone else. And so the first day we go to our first meeting and there's just a ton of guys and girls. Like it was a huge group. So I don't particularly remember seeing Zach that day. But then after that, everyone just started hanging out with each other. It was so much fun. We were in Orange County. So every weekend. We were selling solar.
Oh, selling solar.
Which
okay.
I will say that job was not for me.
Oh.
I would never do sales again, but it was worth it just for, obviously I met my husband, but it was so fun. Like we would go and surf on the weekends and go to the beach as much as we could. But pretty quickly I could tell like Zach and I were flirting with each other a little bit more. And like there was something there.
How could you tell?
Well, I don't know. He was just really flirty. He was really tall too, which I always appreciated. And like he stuck out and I thought he was really cute from the beginning. And then there was a weekend where my best friend, she had to go back to Utah and the two of us were like this. So when she was gone, I was like, oh, like it's not going to be as fun hanging out with the group. And I remember Zach texted me. He's like, there's a group of us going camping. He's like, you need to come. Like, please come. I'll drive you down. So I went and drove down with him and like 2 other guys. It was the 4 of us, and it was actually such a fun car ride. Zach had bought an old 4Runner out in California. He's a big car guy. And so we were driving this old 4Runner. We had to have the windows down because there was no AC. So it was loud, and all the boys were just acting dumb. And I remember they had like Red Bulls, and they were like, I don't know, making trumpets out of them. And I was like, what am I doing right now? And Zach was trying to like have a nice conversation with me, but it was so loud. And anyway, as the night went on, everyone like started going to sleep, and him and I just stuck around the campfire and just talked for a long time. And I remember I could tell that like he wanted me to sleep in his 4Runner with him / kiss him. Yes. I don't know if I should be exposing this to the world, but he was like not making the first move. And I'm very much like, I wanted him to make the first move. But I remember it got to the point where I didn't really have anywhere else to sleep. There were some girls, but I wasn't as close with them. And I was just like, hey, are you sleeping in your 4Runner? And I remember right away, he was like, yeah, do you want to sleep in there? It's like, sure. And so anyway, we ended up just having a really long conversation in there as well that was just really deep. And I don't know. I just feel like I got to know him more that night. And then we did end up kissing.
Okay, just a conversation?
No, yeah.
Or
it wasn't just a conversation, but I did appreciate that he was respectful, and it was a good night. And then after that was like mid-June, and June 30th, after that he took me on a couple of real dates. Yeah. And then June 30th comes, he's like, let's go to Newport. And we actually got Taco Bell because I had lost my purse, and it was at the Taco Bell in Newport. So we picked up Taco Bell, and then we went and sat on like one of the lifeguard stands, and we talked for a while. And then he said, Annie, be my girlfriend. He didn't ask, like he said, just be my girlfriend.
Be my girlfriend. Oh,
and I regret this because I made him nervous and it was dumb, but I was like, can we talk about this for a second? Because I was not expecting that. I honestly thought that it was going to be kind of like a summer fling, just a fun thing. Like that's the vibes that he was giving off. Yeah. So him asking me to be his girlfriend was so shocking. And I was like, okay, I'm about to go back to college. He was going to stay and do sales through the fall. I was like, we're going to be doing long distance in like a month. Like, I just want to talk more about this. And I remember he told me, he's like, Annie, I just want to let you know, like, the reason I'm asking you and the reason I would date anyone is because I genuinely really like them and I see it going somewhere. And if I ever feel like it's not going that way, I'm going to straight up tell you and I'll be honest. And I had just kind of gotten over like a weird situationship thing. So that just like straightforwardness was so, I respected it so much, and it just made me feel good about moving forward. And so he kind of convinced me that day to be his girlfriend.
Okay.
Yeah. And then I went back to school like a month later, and we did long distance. We literally just FaceTimed and called.
Where was he?
All day. So he stayed in California.
Okay.
I went back to do my last semester at Utah State, which it was the worst semester because all of my roommates had graduated, most of my friends. And I was like, I'm not going to go to parties to like meet guys. Like I have a boyfriend. So I pretty much just went to class, stayed in my dorm, and then I would go home on the weekends. But yeah, we just FaceTime like crazy and just were always on the phone with each other. He was knocking the doors. So like in between every door, he'd call me, and yeah, it was fun. I feel like that was also good for our relationship because it just showed us how much we missed each other. And that like, it wasn't just like the chemistry. It was like, we actually had this deep connection and we enjoyed talking to each other. So we met May of 2022, started dating end of June, and then we got married, or I guess he proposed the following March. So almost a year.
Okay.
Yeah. And then we got married in September of 2023. So yeah, a little over a year, which is pretty good by Utah standards.
By Utah standards? Wow. Yeah. Okay. Tell me about the first time he told you he loved you. Or you told him. I don't know who said it first.
He definitely said it first.
Okay. He definitely said it first.
So this was, it's kind of a funny story just because he obviously he moved really quick in the beginning. Like we met end of May, and then a month later asked me to be his girlfriend. And I was like, neither of us had ever told anyone that we loved each other. And I remember thinking, oh my gosh, he might say that soon. And like, I'm not ready. Like if he says it, I'm not gonna be able to say it back. And then time kept passing. I went back to school. And then he moved back in like November after the fall, and he still hadn't said it. So this was June to November. And I was like, oh man, like at this point I had started to maybe feel like I wanted to say it. I was like, I love this man. And
so
like
you were feeling it.
Yeah, I was feeling it. And in the beginning he had said like, I'm going to be straightforward with you, like let you know how I feel. So I was like, hey, like why isn't he saying this? It came all the way to December. And I remember thinking like, I didn't want to push him into something he didn't want to say. But I also like wanted to know how he was feeling. And I almost was about to say like, hey, like, can we talk about where this is going? Like, I just want to know where you're feeling. And we had gone to like a family Christmas party. And then that night we drove up to a pretty lookout to watch the sunset. And I remember he kissed me, and then he whispered it in my ear. He's like, I love you, Annie. And it was sweet. And then I said it back, and yeah, it was really sweet. And then I told him, I was like, I was questioning how he felt about me.
I've been waiting.
But yeah, the more I got to know Zach, truly he is such an intentional person. I speak like he's here still.
He is.
Yeah.
Spirit.
But
soul.
Just very intentional with everything. Like he's super thoughtful and he thinks things through. And the more I think about it, I think it's really sweet that he was like, I don't want to say this if I don't fully believe it and know that I love her. And so I appreciate that. But yeah, I love getting nervous.
What about proposal?
Okay, so a little more backstory about Zach. He is like the most outdoorsy person ever. And before I met him, I had gone camping like maybe a couple times for girls camp growing up.
Yeah.
Like my family did not grow up doing outdoorsy things, but he like was a river guide and loved dirt biking and mountain biking and off-roading and camped in Moab all the time. So, and I just like jumped in with him when we started dating, and it was so much fun. Like one of the first things we did was like a multi-day river trip.
Oh.
Yeah. And anyway, so we had gone down to Moab to camp a few times. It's one of our favorite places. And so January, we got engaged in March, and the January before was when we first kind of had the conversation about like, we want to get married. And I told him, I do not want to know when you propose. Like, I don't even care if my nails are done, if I have a cute dress on, because I just don't want to know. And like, if he would have told me get your nails done, I would have known.
Yeah. Why didn't you want to know?
I don't know. I just always, since I was a little girl, I was like, I want to be surprised.
Completely surprised.
But obviously we talked about it. So I was like, I know it's coming at some point, but I just didn't want to know when. So March comes and we had this camping trip planned, and we go down. He has this big rock crawler. It's this old Chevy Colorado that was basically just like a shell of a truck when he got it, and he kind of built it into this rock crawler. He called it the Colorado.
Oh,
just funny.
That's cute.
Anyway, so we brought that down, and I think the second night he was like, "And let's go drive and watch the sunset." And I was like, "Okay." And some of our friends overheard us, and they were like, "Oh, we want to come." And me being clueless, I was like, "Oh yeah, come with us." And so he was like, "Shoot." So that night we just went on a little drive. And then I remember we got back, and he's like, "There's a really pretty spot. Like, I want to go see the sunrise tomorrow." I was like, okay. I kind of had suspicions at this point.
Okay.
But I didn't think he would propose this early, like 2 months after we talked about it. I was like, it's going to be more in the spring, summer. So we went to bed, and then the next morning he woke me up. It was so cold, but he was insistent that we go. And that was when I kind of knew a little bit more.
You're
like, okay.
Sus.
So I put on like 2 pairs of leggings and like this baggy pair of sweats, and then like 3 or 4 layers on top, like just huge hoodies and this coat, like definitely not my best look.
Yeah.
And I had just woken up, so I had tired eyes, and we drove his truck up to this really pretty butte in Moab, Utah. And we got up there and we watched the sunrise. And then he was like, I'm going to set my phone up to take a video of us, which is not like Zach at all. Like I would be the one wanting to get the pictures. And so at that point I was like, okay, this is probably going to happen.
Yep.
And he was like, take your coat off. Like he was trying to make sure I wasn't wearing this big fluffy coat. Yeah. And then he proposed and it was so special. We were just up in this, like it felt like we were in the middle of nowhere, just the two of us. I was there like just as I am. I wasn't all done up and it was just really special. And then we get back in the rock crawler to go back to tell all of our friends at camp and we got a flat tire. So, which actually ended up being a little bit of a blessing because we had to wait for them to come and help us. And so the two of us just sat up on this rock and like got time to just soak it in, just us. And we like called our parents up there. And it was just so special. Just so happy, like knowing that you both just love each other. And yeah.
Oh, I got goosebumps.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah, it was really special.
So how many years were you guys married for?
So we were married like a year and a half.
A year and a half.
Yeah.
And what was that time like for you?
Oh man, it was so many emotions, but so much fun. So we got married September of 2023, and then we're both from Utah. But after that, like we left on our honeymoon. We actually had a red eye the night of our wedding, which I do not recommend.
Okay.
But we got back from our honeymoon, and literally the day after, we drove up to a small town in Wyoming, and we decided to start our lives there. It's outside of Jackson Hole, and Zach grew up guiding the Snake River down that canyon, and so fell in love with the area. And we had gone a bunch while we were dating, and so we decided to move up there. And so that was definitely an adjustment period. Like I think just getting married is an adjustment.
Yeah.
Living with someone, and then like full new jobs, full new state. My parents weren't right there. I mean, it was like 3 hours away, but I relied on my parents a lot for things. And so that was an adjustment at first. Like the first 6 months of our marriage, it was so fun to live with him and all of that stuff. But like just life was very stressful for me at first. But it was also special because we heavily relied on each other during that time. Like we only had each other. He had some family up there, which was nice, but pretty much we just had each other. So we learned to rely on each other and be there for each other's support, which was great. And then May of 2024, we actually bought our first home up there. Mm-hmm. Yeah, which was so exciting. It was a major fixer-upper.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So Zach's very handy. So we kind of were like, okay, we're just going to buy this. There wasn't a bunch of land or homes up there, or at least so we could afford. So we got this home and like right away just kind of started to do projects on it. We ripped the siding off. That's the first thing we did, and put all new siding up the summer of 2024. And it was fun. It was fun to feel like we had our own place.
So, tell us a little bit about how you guys started to realize that like Zach was getting sick.
So we lived in that home for pretty much exactly a year, which is weird. Bought the home in May 2024, lived there that whole year, just pretty much working on house projects. And then May 2025 came, and my birthday is on the 18th of May. And so we had planned, I was going to have some friends come up, but they ended up not being able to come up. So I was like, let's invite my parents up. They can come and be with us and we can plan a full fun weekend. So like the week leading up to my birthday was a Sunday. That whole week before, he just started feeling very like bloated and had like stomach issues. His stomach was hurting. which wasn't super abnormal. He always had a weird stomach problems. He served his mission in Mexico, and he always said that like since then his
Messed it up.
he's never been the same.
Yep.
So it wasn't super unusual. But everything just kind of happened really fast. So my parents came up that weekend of like the 16th through the 18th. And we went to some hot springs and went to dinner up in Jackson Hole, and it was fun. But like even my parents could tell that he was in pain. He started getting really short of breath too. Like he would breathe like this. We were concerned, but obviously not to a point where, I don't know, we weren't super scared yet. But then my birthday came, it was a Sunday, and like literally he just kind of laid on the couch all day, and he felt so bad. And I was like, Zach, it's okay. Like I could tell he was in pain. And he was like, I'm going to go to the doctor tomorrow. He also had just turned 26, so he didn't have insurance yet.
Oh.
Yeah. So which breaks my heart that like, that's something he was thinking about.
Yeah.
Cause it did play a role in all of this. He didn't want to go to the doctor for that reason and was worried it was going to be something big, which obviously it was. Anyway, so that Monday, the 19th, he goes to the doctor, and he said that I wasn't with him. I had to work. He said that the doctor was immediately concerned just with his bloat. Like, his stomach was very distended and it was like hard. And he said, I'm going to, schedule you to get a CT scan at the hospital. A little bit more context, the small town where I live, there's like 5 or 6 small towns all in a line. And so we lived in one town and the hospital was like 15 minutes away.
Okay.
Anyway, so he goes over there while I'm still working. And
were you worried?
Yes,
okay.
I was worried. But also Zach was such a positive guy that like, I don't know, he made me feel more okay about it at this point.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was worried. Like we were texting each other the whole day. He texts me that he's getting the scan, and then after he's like, and they just came in and told me to not eat or drink. So I have a feeling this might be like a surgery. We thought maybe appendicitis or something like that. And so he said, yeah, like I think it's gonna be a surgery like that, which at the time was very concerning to me and him. Like we were like, holy, this is a big deal. At that point I was like, hey, I'm going to drive down to be with you because we don't know what this is.
Yeah.
And so I'm driving down and I get there and I see him. Sorry, just like, if I tear up.
It's okay.
I see him and he looked like just pretty like sad and concerned. And the doctor takes us into a room and sits us down. And I didn't know this yet, but the doctor had already told Zach this like right before I came.
Okay.
And he basically was like, hey, we saw the results from the scan, and he says, I'm not totally positive, but it looks like you might have lymphoma, which is a type of cancer. And he said, I'm not totally sure. But that's what it's looking like. We can schedule, or he said, we're going to schedule a biopsy up in Idaho Falls, which is like the nearest hospital that does that.
Yeah. Where was it?
You mean like
the tumor? Was it a tumor?
So at this point we didn't know.
Okay.
But just a mass in his stomach.
Okay.
Which later in the story.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So yeah, it was in his stomach. So they scheduled the biopsy for Idaho Falls, which is like 2 hours from where we live. They also said it looked like he had fluid in his lungs, which explained the breathing.
Shortness of breath. Yeah.
Yeah. Which, it was so scary to hear all of that. I remember, we just got in his truck after and he was so positive. Like, he's like, it's going to be okay. But I was just crying. And I remember we called his parents first and then my parents, and it was just crazy to just kind of, I mean, it is life-changing news and it just happened so fast. But at this point, we still didn't know And we were totally holding on to hope that it wasn't. I think a big part of Zach thought like maybe it's not, or at least that's what he would tell me he was feeling. Anyway, so we had to go up 2 separate times throughout this next week to Idaho Falls. The first one was to get the fluid drained, just scheduling problems. Got the fluid drained, and then the following Friday. So we found the CT scan was Monday, and then the following Friday we go up for the biopsy. And it went well. Like they put him under and got a sample of the mass in his stomach. And so then we drive home, go to sleep. Saturday comes, he's just feeling really crappy. And we go to sleep Saturday night, and he wakes me up at like 1:30 in the morning, and he's like, Ann, I am having a really hard time breathing. I think we need to go to the ER. So I remember I just got up, I put my old Uggs on. I was in like sweats and a t-shirt, no bra, and a coat. Yep. And we go to the ER that's like 15 minutes away in the town we lived in. And so we're there, and they have to do all of the scans, all of the tests. And that was from like 2 a.m. to 6 a.m. And then 6 a.m. comes. We were there for, it felt like a long time. And at 6 a.m. the doctor came in and was like, okay, sorry, I'm like forgetting little parts. I try and block this out of my mind.
It happens. Yeah.
Yeah, but it's good for me to talk about it and think about it.
Yeah.
The doctor comes in and says, your heart has like 6 times the amount of pressure that it should right now have on it. He's like, you need to go up to Idaho Falls right now.
They're telling you to just drive up there?
To drive up. They actually, so they did say, they actually said, we can give you an ambulance. Mm-hmm. The thing about this drive is that it's kind of like canyony, and it's very swervy, and it's not busy. So in our heads, we're like, it's going to take the same amount of time. Yeah. And again, Zach was so worried about the insurance. He did not want an ambulance bill. Yeah. Which again, it like really breaks my heart because yeah, he was so worried about that. And he was obviously in a lot of pain, but they were like, you need to go do some tests on your heart up there. So that's the other thing that I think a lot of people don't realize is the place we lived did not have it had accessible healthcare, but not what we needed. Yeah. So like we were driving back and forth so much. And at this point it's 6 a.m. And I'm like, I can do it. They gave me like an energy drink. I'll stay awake. And so I just drove him all the way up there, and we got to the ER there. They did some tests, and that took another like 2 or 3 hours. And then they finally get us in a room. And Zach gets a call from his oncologist, his cancer doctor. And he didn't have it on speaker at first, and I'm just listening, and he was like, okay. Like you could tell he was feeling a little nervous and stressed. And then he said, hey, my wife's right here. Can you tell it all to my wife? And basically he said, you have a very rare and aggressive form of lymphoma. And, he says it is curable, but we need to start treatment tonight. So he said, you guys need to drive down to LDS Hospital in Salt Lake, Utah.
Oh, more driving.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. He said, come right now. We're going to start chemo tonight. He said, I highly recommend that you don't stop at your house. Don't get anything. Just come straight there. So I'm like still in my no bra, get up coat. Oh my God. And running on no sleep, and like just that was a lot. Just all the driving and like being the person that was there for him. We didn't have family there. Like that was a lot. But he was still so positive. but it just was like declining so fast, and that was concerning. So we made the drive. It was like maybe 3.5, 4 hours from there. And we just kind of called everyone, like our family at least, and told them what was happening.
Did they address the heart issues that were going on?
No, like they were gonna come in and tell us.
Yeah.
But at that, like before anyone could come in, we got that call.
Yeah.
And then they worked with us really well. They're like, hey, we can get you out of here.
Yeah.
And they also said we could take an ambulance there, but yeah, obviously we didn't.
Yeah.
So I drove him. So we get there at like, I don't even remember the time. It was the evening, like 5 or 6. And I remember when we got there, like just walking in at this point, like he had to put his shoulder around me and like just to walk even into the hospital. And so I helped him in there. We got a wheelchair and I pushed him around and we found the floor he was supposed to be on. And they got him a room. And yeah, we kind of got all settled in there. And it ended up being like too late. Things didn't work out to give him chemo that night. But they got like his port put in and did a couple other tests. It was hard because we were working with 3 separate hospitals. So and they tried to transfer things, but it was almost quicker for them to just be like, we're going to do our own scan. Yeah. So like for him, it was like so many scans and tests and yeah. So we get there. This was, oh my gosh, so this was Sunday because this was Sunday. And neither of us had slept like at all. Zach hadn't slept for a while. He just wasn't sleeping good that whole
He wasn't comfortable.
week. Yeah, not comfortable at all. So we got there and we got kind of his bed set up and my little couch bed set up. And we go to sleep that first night. And that first night, I woke up at like 3 a.m. to a room full of nurses and doctors. And
oh, that's scary.
It was so scary. And I look over at Zach and he has his little heart monitor on and his heart rate is 190, which is really high. And Zach's a very healthy man, was a very healthy man. And like that was obviously really abnormally high for him.
Was he like with it?
He was with it.
Okay.
But he was just like, oh, it's hard for me to think about what he looked like. He just looked scared and he rarely looked scared. And they were just trying a bunch of different things to help his heart rate get down. They gave him like a bowl of ice water. I guess sticking your face in there is supposed to help. They had him like clench his body. I guess that's supposed to help and nothing was working. So they ended up giving him this medication that like completely stops your heart for a second and then kind of like reboots it. Which is it was so scary for both of us. For him, he's like hearing this, like, and I don't know, he tried to just stay, like, he's like, okay, yeah, like, let's do it. So they gave it to him and that did end up working, got his heart rate down. And that was so scary. And then everyone kind of just left the room and they're like, if anything happens, just like press the button on your remote. Oh my gosh. Or whatever.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Okay. So then, we went to sleep. Didn't really go to sleep.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then the next day the oncologist came in and like met with us and gave us the full rundown.
Is this on a Monday?
This is a Sunday.
This is a Sunday.
So, okay, the timeline was wrong. The morning we woke up for the ER was Saturday morning.
Yeah.
Friday night, Saturday morning. Yes. So this was on Sunday. We woke up Sunday. And he came in and said that Zach had, it's called Burkitt lymphoma. It's very rare and really aggressive. And it is pretty common in young men. He kind of just gave us the rundown. He said we were going to go through 4 rounds or maybe 3 rounds of chemo, 4 weeks each. He said, you need to plan on living here in Utah for 12 weeks at least. Which that was wild to hear. Like we had a house and our dog.
Oh, I was going to say, yeah, you had a dog.
Yeah. So we did actually have, Zach's dad had gone up to, so sweet. Zach was in the process of working on our basement. So him and some family members went up to start working on our basement for him. And so they were taking care of our dog, but like everything, all of our belongings were at our house up in Wyoming. And so, yeah, it was just like, oh my gosh, we're going to have people bring stuff down. And like, this is going to be our home, this hospital room for the next 12 weeks.
Yeah.
Which was very overwhelming. But the oncologist kept saying, he's like, this cancer, even though it's really aggressive and rare, it's also 95% curable. He's like, he kept saying, Zach, you're going to be okay. You're going to be okay.
Yeah.
And Zach was just such a fighter and very positive. He's like, yeah, like we can do this. It was really overwhelming to be like, hey, you have 12 weeks of chemo. It's going to be so hard and so hard for me to watch that. I mean,
yeah,
just even those few days of seeing Zach, decline so fast was so hard. And I was like, this is going to be, really hard. But I will say though, just having him there and telling us the plan, that whole week leading up to it was such an emotional roller coaster of being like, we are up in this small town. We don't know what it is. We don't know what his diagnosis is. He is clearly not well. Like at any point something could happen. And like, I don't know what I'm doing. We don't have the resources. It was so stressful, like driving up to Idaho Falls and back and out and back, and finally getting there. I will say I had this like kind of big sigh of relief of like, okay, at least we're here now. This sucks, but we're here now. And like he's being treated and it's going to be okay. Like it's going to suck, but it's going to be okay. And he's okay. And I like vividly remember that, like feeling like, okay, our families are close too. Like our families came and visited. Anyway, so that Sunday, he got his first round of chemo. And everything was looking okay. And then that day was kind of a blur, but he got his first round of chemo. We had lots of visits from family. And then we went to bed, and then we woke up the next day, Monday, and our oncologist came in and Zach was like, whoa, like I can't see you. Like you're blurry.
Oh.
Yeah. And so
interesting.
He was like, okay, that's a little bit concerning. He wanted to do a scan to see if there was cancer like in his brain, because that would be really concerning.
Yeah.
So they scheduled a CT scan. I helped Zach take a shower, which is actually like one of my like most cherished memories, just because it was kind of like one of our last moments together. And he was like just always just still joking. Like he was such a goofball, and he was just joking like up until the very end. But I just remember like laughing with him. And I wanted to like help him take a shower. He's like, I can do this on my own, Annie, like stop. And it was just funny. Funny and sad, but just a sweet memory that I have. Anyway, he took that shower, and then we wheeled him down to get his CT scan. It was on like a separate floor. And we get into the room, and Zach has a seizure. Like he starts having a seizure. I felt so helpless. I'm like, I don't know what I can do. And then he came to for a second, and the nurse said, hey, like, do you remember where you are? And the last thing he said, I'm in the CT room. And then he starts having another seizure. And the room we were on, we were with like radiologists and nurses. Like these people, at least from what it looked like to me, didn't really know like what to
Yeah.
do in this case, which I remember just like standing there, like feeling so helpless.
Yeah.
Zach's seizing, and then a nurse comes in and they call code blue. I literally felt like it was so out of body. I felt like I was in like a movie. All these nurses come rushing in the room, and like I kind of just like walked out. I didn't know what I was supposed to do. And so I'm like away. I don't know what's going on in that room. Like the doors close kind of on him.
Yeah.
And I'm just like pacing. There was a sweet nurse that came and like tried to talk to me, but I remember almost being like annoyed because I was like, I don't have the mental energy to like answer your questions right now. But she did sit with me, which was really nice. And I truly had no clue like what it meant that he had a seizure. Like my brain couldn't like connect like, oh, maybe he's going to die from this. It was like, they're going to do their job and he's going to be okay. But the oncologist, he kept coming to me and like giving me updates. He's like, hey, he coded, but we have a pulse. And in my head, I'm like, okay, like good, you have a pulse.
Yeah.
But he's like, we're doing CPR, but he has a pulse. Like, okay, I just didn't know what was happening. Thankfully, Zach's parents were on their way because they were going to bring him some new pants. And I called my parents, obviously, and told them, but like, even they'll tell you to this day that like, when I called, they didn't feel like the weight or the seriousness of it because I didn't know yet.
Yeah.
I was so anxious though. Like, again, like, I just don't think my mind let me go there. Like that, it just wasn't a possibility in my mind. But I remember they wheeled him. I saw his body. They wheeled him up to the ICU unit. And they had me wait in the visitor's room. And for a good like 10 minutes, I was just alone in there. Just like not knowing what was going to happen. The oncologist kept coming back and he would say things like, okay, we lost the pulse again, but we got it back. But he said, but we're not out of the woods. And in my mind, I'm like, what does that mean? Like out of the woods? Does that mean like, if we're not out of the woods, is he going to be in a coma or like, is he going to die? Like I didn't know. And then this sweet angel nurse, I don't know who she is. Still to this day, I need to figure out who she is, but she came in and just like hugged me and cried with me and didn't even talk, like just literally sat there with me. And she knew I liked Diet Coke from like the one day that we were there, and she brought me a Diet Coke and a water. And then Zach's parents got there, and Zach's dad like gave me a blessing. And we all just sat there, and I remember his parents just being like, I don't know, like his mom was like, he's gonna be okay. He's gonna be okay. He has to be okay. Like we couldn't connect it. Anyway, my parents get there, and then the oncologist came and he called me and Zach's parents back. Which at that point I was like, why do you want us to see this?
Mm-hmm.
They were performing CPR on him. And he told me that he's like, you don't have to see if you don't want to. And I was terrified. Like who wants to see like the love of their life on the table getting CPR? But we went in, and that image is like the intrusive thought that I can't get out of my head. Just Zach's face, like it wasn't him. And he had a breathing tube, and there were just so many doctors surrounding him, and they were doing CPR. It genuinely felt like, this is so weird, but it felt like a Grey's Anatomy episode.
Yeah.
And it felt like I was like watching the scene, if that makes sense. Like I was not in my body. But I remember my mother-in-law, Zach's mom and dad were very vocal. Like they were trying to cheer Zach on. They're like, Zach, you're so strong. You can do this. You can do this. Just over and over. And I remember like, I couldn't do that. I don't know why. Like I couldn't really talk, but I remember just like, putting my head by his head, and I was just whispering to him, like, I love you, over and over. And I think maybe like a tiny part of me knew, like, even when he walked us back, like this might be it, but like my brain could not, I don't know, like really fully process what that even meant. And so, yeah, all I could say was just, I love you. At one point they called me and my mother-in-law out and they were like, hey, there's one fake heart at the U that we can try and get. Do you want to go through with that? And first of all, I was like, what? Like, how are we to this point? I don't even know what that means, but we were like, of course, yeah, like do that. And then we went back in the room and they're doing CPR, and then like at the same time they all just like step back. And I hadn't really seen this doctor, but I will always remember his face because he looked at me. He was this older man and he said, I'm so sorry, he's gone. And I don't even know how you can explain that feeling of just hearing those words and seeing your husband in front of you and hearing like the wails from my mother-in-law. And I'm sure I was doing the same, but I don't even really remember. I remember like pacing a lot and yeah, I try and like block that out. It's hard to think about it. Yeah. But yeah, that was like the worst moment of my life.
Were you able to, like, after they pronounced him, were you able to say your like final goodbyes to him?
Yeah. So after, yes, we sat in there for a while. But I will say I was very like, it just didn't feel like Zach after that. And I was very like uncomfortable with his body, even after, like at his viewing, when he had already been to the mortuary, like I was very uncomfortable with that. And I almost felt bad. I'm like, I should want to like be with my husband as long as I can. But I like wanted to get out of there. And then I felt bad about that too. But yeah, like I said my goodbyes. But that's also the thing about, I consider it a sudden death. Like, yes, he had cancer, but it was supposed to be curable. And
that is 1,000% a sudden death.
Yeah. It was 2 days after not even 48 hours after the diagnosis. And so I didn't get to say like my goodbyes while he was here. And that part of it is so hard. Just, I feel like anything I do moving forward, it's like I used to be this partnership and we would decide things together. And I valued his opinion so much. And in one moment he's just gone. And now it's like, I just go on with my life. But anyway, back to that day, the weirdest part that no one could have prepared me for this is we're there and there's his body and the rest of his family showed up and we all just kind of sat in the visiting room and just cried together for a long time. But then after that, it's like, you just go home.
I know.
Like I went from thinking I was going to live here for 12 weeks to, okay, your husband died. Now you just go home. So we had to go back up to our room and like I see his phone like any normal person would. Like he was just living, like there's evidence on his phone that he was like just here, and his clothes. And we just like take it home. And I'm like, I guess I'm going to go to my parents' house. Like, I don't know, just no one can prepare you for that. And one of my most vivid memories, I don't remember a lot after that. I truly don't remember like what I did that day. I was in so much shock, but I will always remember walking out of the hospital, and it was late May, and it was the most beautiful, clear blue skies, sun was shining day, and like I saw people biking by and in their cars and walking by, and I just remember thinking like, what? Like my life was just completely changed. That just happened. Zach just died, and there's people like going to lunch or like on their bike ride. And I couldn't fathom that the whole world didn't stop for everyone when my world did. And I literally remember like squinting and just being like, it was so weird to see that. And that's a feeling I've felt a lot like since. Just it's weird that we don't all, not that I would wish this on anyone, but I almost wanted the world to stop with mine.
Totally get it.
And yeah, that didn't happen.
I think you do such a beautiful, I know you said you didn't get to say goodbye to him when he was physically here. And I think you do such a beautiful job at showing Zach how much you love him. And I mean, I'm sure there's way more than just what you post on social media, but like the things you post and like cooking for him, because you said he loved your cooking, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I just think you just do such a beautiful job of like keeping his memory alive and staying connected to him.
Thank you.
Do you feel connected? Like, have you felt connected to him?
Yes and no.
Yeah.
I think in the first month or so after, I feel like I felt him more often. But this is something that I actually do like talking about, because I think that sometimes the idea of like having this special relationship with your angel and your loved ones that have passed can almost be like romanticized. That might not be the right word, but when you're in it, it's like, no, death is final. And there is no, I've felt Zach, and for sure he's given me signs, but most of the time I have to choose to believe those signs. And most of the time it is me like talking to the void, and that can feel so lonely. But yeah, I don't know. I think before this, I did kind of have an idea of like, oh, I feel like people that have lost their loved ones, like they just have this special connection. And I won't deny that, of course, I believe that Zach is existing in heaven and that I'll see him again. But just when you're actually in the situation, it's so final. Like he was here one moment and then he wasn't. And yeah, like I don't get to see him or talk to him or touch him or hear him. And that's really hard.
I think like what you said, it's you choosing to believe. I definitely think like that's the case for me as well. And that just brings me the most comfort to just choosing to believe, because the alternative feels too sad to me. So I'm like, I'm just going to choose to believe because it feels less sad.
It's true. And to me, I'm like, what's the harm in choosing to believe rather than, you're right. Like it's so overwhelming to think about the alternative.
Yeah.
Like I just can't go there.
Yeah.
So yeah, but it is a choice. And yeah, some signs have been more clear, but it's nothing tangible ever.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Well, tell me, what does it look like for you to move forward in life, keeping your love for Zach as well?
I don't know who else you've interviewed, but I feel like I'm maybe a different perspective because Zach died just in May. So it hasn't even been a year. So I will say that I'm definitely still figuring that out.
Yeah.
I think when you lose a spouse, it's like you lose that person, but you obviously lose a part of you and you lose your future self, kind of what you had. Like I had a solid idea in my mind of like what our life was going to look like. There was just nothing that could have ever changed that.
Yeah.
And now it's just figuring that out. And it's not that I can't be my own person and I was just dependent on Zach. It's just that I don't really know who I am without him anymore.
Identity shifting and figuring that out.
Yes. So I'm still figuring that out. But I love how you say move forward instead of move on, because like I'll always carry Zach with me. I don't know how I couldn't. I'll always carry him with me, and he'll be a huge part of my life. Right now, it's like I want him to just be my whole life still, and I'm learning that I can choose to like do things for myself. That can be hard. But yeah, I think like my social media has been a huge outlet, and that's kind of where I'm putting a lot of my time and effort into right now. Cause it's like something to look forward to and motivation to get out of bed every day.
So you're still trying to figure it out.
Yeah, still trying to figure it out. Yeah. I went from honestly my whole life, ever since I was a little girl, I wanted to be a mom and a wife. And so, yeah, I think, and then when I got married to Zach, I was like, I love this life. I can't wait to like be the mother of our children, and that's going to bring me fulfillment. And now it's like, I need to somehow find fulfillment in life without that.
Do you feel like you won't want to be that with someone else down the road, or it's too hard to think about at this point?
It's definitely too hard to think about at this point. I know you and I have talked about it, and I'm very much like, that is not even a thought in my mind right now.
Sudden death is so different than like my experience, because you're talking about like now you're having to like find your identity without Zach, and I had to do that while Tanner was still living, because we became disconnected because he was so sick, and that happened before like the actual event of him dying. And so I had to kind of go into that world of like, who am I without Tanner? Because so much of my life, even while Tanner was here, he wasn't here. Does that make sense? Totally
makes sense.
And so I started that road, even though Tanner died a month after Zach died. He had been dying.
Yeah.
And so I started that identity journey probably 2 years before Tanner actually like physically left the world.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's where our stories, I mean, they differ a lot, but
yeah. And that makes so much sense to me. Like, yeah, they are just so different. I tell people, like, people have asked, like, oh, do you think you'll date again? And in my mind, I'm like, I still wear my ring. I'm like, I'm married though.
Yeah.
Like, I can't, we didn't have a conversation about this. Like, I'm still married. That's how I feel. I don't know. Again, like, it always has been my dream to be a mom. So I don't know where life will take me. I always say that unless Zach literally places someone in front of me and like gives me a clear sign that this is great and I feel good about it, then it won't happen. But that also probably won't be for a while.
Well, based on your experience, how do you feel like your perspective has changed?
I feel like it's changed in every way.
Yeah.
Just like perspective on life. You mean? Yeah. Yeah. I see my life as Annie before this and Annie after this, and I'm just a completely different person. I feel like you could say for the better or for the worse. Like, this has been obviously the hardest thing in my life, and if I could go back and change things, I would 100%. But it's funny, my mother-in-law and I have this saying, we're like, no silver linings. We don't need to see silver linings throughout this. But then every time we're like, and it's true. Like, there are so many just cool things and like things that you do learn from something like this, even though I don't think this happened for me to learn things.
Agreed.
The learning comes with it. And just I feel like the things that are important to me have changed, and I've just realized, like, to me, the things that matter the most are just relationships we have with people and just trying to be a good person and like being kind to others.
Yeah.
Zach was so good at serving others and dropping things in his life to go help someone else. And I feel like that's so important. And the more that I've opened up about this, I've just seen that everybody's life is hard. Everyone goes through things. And so we can all, I don't know, help each other through life. But
David Kessler, he's a licensed clinical social worker, and he's really big in the grief world. And he came out with a book called, I think it's called like the 6th step or 6th stage of grief, called meaning making. Yes. And I don't think anyone needs to rush to that point of finding meaning, but I feel like I have been able to see meaning in my suffering and in Tanner's suffering. Kind of similar to what you were saying, just being able to connect with people and unknowingly helping people by sharing our story. And I think, what you share on social media really helps people in either similar situations or just situations of grief, or if you need a recipe.
Yeah, exactly. Yes. That part is huge. Like, I'm sure you see just comments or messages, even just one is like, this is a reason to keep sharing it if
Yeah.
it's helping one person. So yeah.
1000%.
Yeah.
Well, last question. And you can give more than one answer, but what is one of your favorite memories and or favorite things about Zach?
There's so many. Like truly, Zach was such an amazing person. But let's see. I think one of my favorite things about him, and I said this in the beginning, is that he was so intentional. Like he had clear goals for life and was so intentional with everything he did. And he was so excited about life. Like he genuinely loved it and was so positive and like lit up every room and was hilarious. I feel like I could go on and on. Memories, I'm trying to think. I have a note in my phone of just so many memories because I don't want to forget anything. Yeah. I've shared this one. I've shared this one a lot with friends recently, but I've thought about it a lot. When I was ever like grumpy or we were arguing or fighting, or if I was just down, he would grab my wrists and he'd start singing, "If you're happy and clap your hands." And he would try so hard to like clap my hands and I would resist so hard, but he'd always get him to clap. And it made me even more mad, but also like it would make me laugh. Yeah. Yeah. He was like that though, like just always teasing me. But I think about that a lot in these moments where I'm like just really down, obviously. Yeah. I'm like, Zach's just trying to clap my hands right now. Oh. But yeah.
That's such a beautiful memory. Yeah. And probably multiple memories on multiple occasions for that specific thing. I love that. Well, Annie, where can people follow your story?
Yeah. Instagram and TikTok, it's Annie Fitness with 3 underscores after.
3 underscores after fitness. Okay. Yep. Annie Fitness. We'll put that in the show notes as well. But thank you so much for coming and being vulnerable and letting us witness your story.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. Bye.